podcast is your weekly dose of two moms navigating life and rewriting the motherhood blueprint.
We're here to give you our real and unfiltered opinions on life's most complex topics.
All truth, no sugarcoating, on Muvas.
You know, I like to just listen to that and just let it go through. I be at extra height when it come on.
That's
So,
how they go hard in a strip club.
Letty, come on here with that red lip, Letty. Come, girl. I didn't told you. If you Journey,
I'm trying to give Lovecraft Country, okay?
giving us the vibes, real vintage, real here for it.
Yes. You know what? And speaking of that, I know we normally do how our week was, but I just have to because I'm still on an emotional roller coaster from the season finale. I don't give no spoilers. Not everybody has seen it, but Misha Green, Jordan Peele,
She did her
all
thing.
the actors, actresses over at Lovecraft Country, y'all did that.
Did her thing.
Did that all the way down. It was very good from the first episode to the last. Every week I was intrigued, couldn't wait to figure out what was next. It was so good. So
Now, sis,
yes.
I love you.
Mm.
And I love Lovecraft. That last episode was a bit dry.
It was dry to you?
It was a little dry. Cause okay, so I didn't get to watch it at 9. Let me take these glasses off. I don't like the glare. I didn't get to watch it at 9 like I normally do because I was just too tired for it. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna watch it later. So I had woke up at like 3 in the morning. I said, let me watch this. And I had read your tweets and I read everybody's tweets how, oh my God, I'm crying and it didn't do that for me. It was missing something for me.
But you know what? Every single episode was so cram-packed with messages and, you know, something, everybody's backstory that once we finally got to the season finale, I feel like they tried to wrap it up in such a neat package that they didn't give you a whole lot extra to digest.
And I needed it.
I can see that.
I was used to it.
Yeah.
I wanted a little bit more. I needed just a little bit more. I will say I liked how they finally told Hannah's story.
Yes.
Because I kept wondering like why she stopped and looked back and like what was her true role. And I liked the feistiness of her.
Absolutely. When we finally heard her voice, again, no spoilers, but I was like, yeah, okay, y'all should have been done this.
All the spoilers, because I want to tell y'all the whole thing. Hurry up and watch it so we can really talk about it. We're going to do a whole Lovecraft episode.
Yes, absolutely got to dive into that.
I'm out here looking crazy because I washed my hair before the show, so sorry, guys. It's air drying naturally. This is what my natural hair looks like as it air dries, so.
Absolutely love it.
Thanks, girl. Embrace my natural today.
I'm here for all of that. So not much to report on my week. You know, it's life, ebb and flow. Things are going well with the kids, with life, with work. And wouldn't you know, I have a hole in my ceiling somewhere. And my kitchen ceiling is leaking. So I've got to get that fixed. But that's how life is. You have all this good stuff going on. And it's just that one little thing, that irky thing that comes out of nowhere. And I caught myself being a responsible adult because listen, y'all, they said every 3,000 miles you're supposed to bring it in a Jiffy Lube. Honey, I be riding that joint till about 10,000 miles. If my car don't shake, it ain't time to take it in.
I don't know who taught you that because I do not condone that message. That is not a mother's message, girl. Take care of your car.
If my car don't shake, it's good, right? So I was calling myself being a responsible adult, took my car in, got the oil change, set up an appointment to get new tires next paycheck, and then my ceiling start leaking real bad. So it's like, I can't live for losing, but at the end of the day, I will count all my blessings because at the end of the day, I have the money to get it fixed, and it's just a minor inconvenience, but that's just life. How was your week?
My week has been good up till today. Today I went to the dentist. So I'm a big advocate now that I have like, good insurance. Well, I've had good insurance since I started my job 8 years ago. I'm not gonna hold you. But I just feel like I'm more responsible now in like keeping up with your doctor's appointments and your dentists and all of that stuff. So I went to the dentist today. I needed to get my 6 month cleaning, and I'm like gonna go to this new dentist. She's a black dentist. She's Avery's dentist. I absolutely love her. I'm like, she's gonna be my dentist as well since I need a new dentist since we left the city. So go to my girl, and I'm like, look, just give me fresh x-rays because I don't know what they was doing in the city, but I feel like it just wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. So fresh x-rays. So basically, like, I grind my teeth so bad when I sleep that I have to start wearing my mouth guard again. I had a mouth guard like 5 years ago. I lost the shit. It wasn't fitting properly. I hated wearing it, so I never wore it. I have to start doing that again. Then she's like, you grind so bad that basically your bite is collapsing. That's why you can't hold your mouth open for a long time. And then she's like, also, you probably should get checked for sleep apnea because that's probably why you're grinding so bad. Like, I've grinded so much that the feelings I got last year are now gone, and I need to get them again.
Ooh, girl.
That's how bad I grind my teeth. And I never knew. Like, no one's ever been like, hey, A, like, you grind. They're like, oh, you might snore a little bit. But nobody's ever been like, oh, you're, like, grinding. I'm grinding my fucking teeth. It's bad.
As far as sleep apnea is concerned, have you ever woken up out of your sleep?
I wake up all the time.
Really?
I wake up every night for hours. I go to sleep while I drive, like, at nighttime, of course. Yeah, but, like, all signs, I never just paid attention to it. But then I'm kind of pissed because I'm like, I go to the doctor regularly. Like, I go to the dentist, and no one's ever been like, hey, you should get checked for this.
Right.
Never. So now I'm going to have all these fucking bills that I was not accounting for, but I got to get it done because health is wealth. So,
well, shout out to her for catching that. When
they look like you.
Yeah, they care more.
They care more.
Absolutely.
Because no tea, no shade. These Korean doctors ain't give a shit when they was in my mouth. Never once heard any of that. Like, never once been like, hey, you're still grinding. What are you doing?
Right.
It's always just been like, oh, let's do like 5 fillings today.
So I specifically asked for a Black family health practitioner. And when I talked to her, she asked me, why did I ask for her specifically? And I told her, listen, I had a bad experience during labor and delivery where a non-Black anesthesiologist gave me my epidural. And I told him that I wasn't numb. I could still feel as he was, touching my back. I could still feel him. And he was like, no, that's just pressure. I'm like, sir, I'm not retarded. Like, that is not just pressure. I feel you touching me.
Right.
Before I could finish what I was saying, he went and inserted the needle and I jumped. And ever since then, I've been having migraines and, severe migraines in that area of my back. I have pain sometimes when I wake up. So I specifically asked for a woman of color. I specifically asked for a woman and a woman of color. And she asked me why. And I told her, and I said, I just feel that you will give me the care and the advice and you will understand some of the conditions that I may be, predisposed to. And so she was like, listen, I like that. And I'm here for you, but you're also going to have to do what I tell you to do. Period. So we're going to get these labs. We're going to check your cholesterol. We're going to check this, that, and the third. And what I want you to do from here on out for the next 30 days is track what you're eating. Because yes, you seem to be in good health, but I also know women in your age group are not paying attention to what they're putting in their mouth. I'm like, oh, because I'm not. Thank you. So
yeah, honestly.
So she's been amazing. And, sometimes we have to ask for that. And same thing when it goes to mental health. I asked for a Black therapist because there are certain microaggressions that happen at work that I don't think I can explain to someone who's not a person of color where they would understand it. And then they, it would just go over their head. So.
Yeah, no. I completely get it. That was part of my reason. Well, one, when I picked Avery's dentist, it was more so like, let me just get a practice that will allow her to come quickly. Because she kept complaining about her teeth hurting. And I was like, oh shit, we're not like gonna let this go. Like, she eats a lot of candy. She probably has cavities. Just so happened though, like the dental hygienist was like, oh, the doctor's gonna come in, and she was black, and I was like, didn't expect this, because like where I'm from, it's country city. You've been here. It's country down here. So with living back, and then we go actually to the dentist in Greene County, which is the county over. And the fact that they have a black dentist there, I was hella surprised. Okay, not Greene County. Would it? Okay, like I highly recommend them. I even had the white hygienist today. Was so thorough. Like she was telling me shit that I never even knew about my mouth. And I've been going to the dentist since I was a child, but I just finally found a good one, I guess. You can't play about that type shit. You can't play about your health. That's one thing I don't play about. Like, I'm an advocate of take your ass to the goddamn doctor. Okay? You need to go on over there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so let's jump into it. We got a whole lot of mess that's been going on over the past week or so. Well, since the last time we've been on, so that was a whole week ago. Between the Red Cup Challenge, people fighting on Delta Airlines, not Spirit, Delta. I'm surprised. Engagements, folks giving people cars and Birkin bags for birthdays. Girl, it's just been a lot. So let's start at the top. Did you see, I don't know if you watch Black Ink Crew Chicago, right?
I've watched them in the past. I haven't watched them recently. What's T?
Okay, so Ryan Henry he's the owner of the shop in Chicago.
See, that's Ryan with the ponytail, with the cornrows. Go on here, tell me about it.
Right, with the Indie Remy.
Okay, he got a lace front. Is it?
Yes. So our guy Ryan is caught up in a scandal where his ex-best friend outed him for sleeping with his baby mom. So he slept with his best friend's baby mom while the best friend had cancer. And the best friend found out by going through the phone and finding text messages where homegirl was talking about how she couldn't wait to see him again and couldn't wait to ride it again and all kinds of inappropriate messages while they all hung out as a crew. Like Brian would come over to see, he was also the baby's godfather. So he would come over to see the child and went to games and stuff with the best friend and was knocking down homeboy's girl the entire time behind the scenes. Just trifling.
Is he trifling or is she trifling?
They're both trifling, because if that's your best friend, you're his son's godfather and all of that, you're trifling for that too.
Was he part of his top 5?
Was he a part of one now?
Was she a part of his top 5?
I mean, it's his baby mama.
That don't mean you part of the top 5.
It was his woman at the time.
That don't mean she part of the top 5.
Ma'am. It's trifling regardless. Whether
was she part of the top 5?
I don't know. I have no idea.
She might not have been part of the top 5, so she might not have been one of the untouchables.
She was important enough for this man to go on social media and air out the laundry and screen texts and stuff like that. It was enough for that. So,
I guess.
Speaking of trifling,
I guess
moving right along. Did you see Ice Cube is working with or was allegedly working with Republicans for a plan for the African American community?
Okay, let's unpack this. I got questions. I haven't been on it, so help me get into it. Is the plan like Black reparations type plans, like this what we need type shit? Like, what's going on? What's the plan? What is he talking about? What's the agenda he's pushing?
Last episode, I talked to you about how both Biden and Trump have some type of plan in place for the African American community. Trump's plan is called the Platinum Plan. And it actually is more detailed than as of last week, Biden's plan, because I looked on both of their websites to see what the plans were. None of the plans tell you how these things are going to happen. It just tells you what they want to do. So, for example, they want to for the platinum plan, Trump's plan, he wants to give more money to Black small businesses. He wants to revitalize the Black community with funding and things like that. But it doesn't say how he's going to get there. It talks about a lot of things that they're going to do for the Black community, but there's no, okay, and this is how we're going to do it. So I'm not mad at Ice Cube for having discussions with either side, right? He did say that he sent his concerns over to the Biden camp, and they told him they would get back to him after the election. But he sent his plans over to the Trump camp, and they were ready to hear him out immediately. Now, whether it was to pander to Black people or not, that's,
that's fine. I don't care how I get in the door as long as I'm in that bitch.
Exactly. Action is better than inaction. No matter what, action is better than inaction. Now, there are people who feel like he should have never taken the opportunity to sit with Trump and all of that. But my stance is this. If in the event Biden loses, God forbid he does, but in the event that he does lose, we do need to be able to be bipartisan. We do need to be able to have conversations with the other side about what our community needs. And we do need to be able to come to the table with a list of the things that we need and how we think we could reasonably get there. So saying, oh, we don't want to talk to you guys because we don't agree with you. And granted, it's not just we disagree on, some trivial stuff. We're talking about, you disagree with our existence. You disagree with the color of our skin. But at the end of the day, we do need to have these conversations. So I'm not mad at him for going in and having the conversation. I don't know what all the outrage is for, personally.
I mean, I agree with you, sis. I agree with you to the extent that we need to be open with getting a seat at the table or a door in for the conversation. Now, should we make our own table? Yes. But when your table is out of cardboard and you really need that wooden stature and they got some logs they willing to give you for a quick conversation, bitch, go get your logs. Use it to your advantage. So if anything, I feel like whether he listens or not, he heard something. Whether he, like at this point, the election is 3 weeks away, less than 3 weeks away.
Right.
You don't have time to be out here. I hate Trump. I hate Trump. I hate Trump. I hate Biden. I hate Biden. I hate Biden. And leave it at that. You got to figure out, well, if this other person is going to win, what does that mean for me?
Right.
What is my life fitting to look like? What is my children's life fitting to look like for the next 4 years?
Right. We have to be willing to have those conversations and come to the table. We can't get mad and pack everything up and go home and sit in a corner, And
that's the hard conversations. It's kind of like, and I don't want to go on a tangent real quick, but it's kind of like when the George Floyd stuff happened and he got murdered and everybody was rallying and, having the conversation, and it was defund the police, or do we actually defund them? Because maybe defunding is taken out of content and everybody's mad and it's side versus side. And it's like, well, if I speak out here, somebody's mad at me for speaking out because they back blue. But then if I don't speak out, it's like I'm okay with police brutality. Like, it's really a fine line. So why not go have those conversations with the police?
Right.
With county officials. Let them know how you feel. Because if they don't change something, that's on them. But at least I did my part and I let you know where I stand. And I think that was always my take on it, is just hear me out, but also pick a side.
Right. Absolutely.
Are you for racism or are you not? And that's basically Trump right now. Trump, baby, pick a side. What is you for racism or not? If you get reelected, what the fuck is you finna do for this Black community?
I think he's clearly picked a side, that dog whistle where, they asked him to state plainly whether or not he supports, the Proud Boys or whatever, and he says stand by, stand back, and stand by. I think that was his opportunity to clearly denounce, and he didn't. So if you can't clearly denounce it, then you're in support of it. And if that means he just didn't want to denounce it because he knows that a large majority of his votes are coming from that area, either way, you're for it because you're looking for that support. So
yeah,
we'll see. But again, I'm not mad at Ice Cube, not at all. And speaking of the president, they must have heard us yelling at the TV the last presidential debate, because they will definitely be muting the mics. The final debate takes place this Thursday, October 22nd at 9 p.m. And if they go over their time, their mics will be muted, which I think should have happened a long time ago.
yeah, definitely. At this point, it's just a lack of respect on all parties.
Yes. And then had you seen, getting back around to Black Lives, you see what's going on in Nigeria with the End SARS protests.
What's that?
So SARS is the special anti-robbery squad. It's kind of like a special task force, right? And they're a part of the police, but their own special task force, a subset of the police system there. And they're accused of kidnapping, raping, torturing, unlawfully arresting, extorting, and unlawfully killing Nigerian citizens. The Nigerian government. So people have been protesting SARS since 2017, but they regained traction in this year in October because of someone that died at the hands of one of the officers. So a week or so ago, the Nigerian government called for the dissolution of SARS, of all the SARS units, but Nigerians pushed back. The protesters pushed back and demanded an overhaul of the entire police force. And currently, they are battling with police officers. Like as we speak, there are people who are sharing videos online of people who are unarmed being shot and killed with these protests that have kind of turned violent. So prayers to our family over in Nigeria. It's really sad to see that all of this is happening to Black people across the world. It's not just here at home. So, and then last but not least, in line with what we're discussing today, there's a man who is facing a murder charge for killing his wife, the mother of his 3 children, for asking for a divorce. His name is Ashton Neros, and his wife's name was Marquita. And he shot her in front of their 3 children because she asked for a divorce. So, that kind of brings us into what we're discussing tonight. This month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And, it's really important to have these discussions, even if they're uncomfortable, because a lot of us have either experienced it or we know someone who's experienced it. So that is the topic, and it's going to be such a heavy topic. But
it is a very heavy topic. But I felt like we had to at least do one episode on it, and we will have to do one every year just because it's, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We talk about it often when we talk relationships, but kind of need to share light on it, especially with all the stuff that you see in the celebrity headlining, and most recently, like the talk surrounded about Cardi and Offset. And I want to start there. Because a lot of people feel like Cardi is mentally abused. Not really physically abused, but there has been some takes around it. And she spoke out on her fans too. Like, you guys are more invested in my relationship than I am. Yeah, he cheated, and he buys me gifts and then I get back with him. But she's like, that's my best friend. Like, I miss him. This is our marriage. Like, this marriage is my most stressful thing that I have in my life. And I decided to take my husband back, and I really don't want to get divorced. But a lot of people feel like she is being mentally abused, or she was. And that's why she's in this state that she's in with relationships in general. What do you feel? How do you feel?
I don't know. My personal take is that cheating could be a form of abuse, right? Because you know that it puts your partner in a mental state that they normally wouldn't be in, whether it be depression or what have you. Cheating is harmful. However, I don't think that was his intention. I think that they are young and they're both still in their early 20s. Cardi's what, 25, 26?
No, she's 28. Just turned 28.
Turned 28, excuse me. I mean, still to me, late 20s, okay, but still, they got married in their mid 20s, and both of them, became celebrities very early and never really got to enjoy that before getting committed and then deciding to get married. So I think it's very difficult. I mean, regular 20 somethings are cheating. So imagine being a millionaire and having all of this access as a rapper and on both sides, right? I mean, she has access to men too. So I don't necessarily think that it was his intention to manipulate or mentally abuse her. I just think it's a situation where they were very young and probably should have waited so that he could do what he needed to do and be done before getting married.
Do you feel like unintentional abuse is excusable?
No, I don't. But what I do think is a lot of people don't know that that's what they're doing. So, for example, a lot of people perpetuate some of the cycles that they saw growing up, and they don't know that that's what they're doing. So when they gaslight you, or people who talk crassly to their partners because that's how their parents talked, and they don't mean any harm, they just think that that's a healthy way of handling situations, or cuss you out in an argument and don't realize that that's not acceptable. That's just what they saw. I don't think that it's okay or excusable. I think what needs to happen is it needs to be addressed and brought to their attention. And if they don't fix it, then, you move on from there. But I think until it's addressed as such, how do they know?
Yeah. So. Agree. I don't think necessarily taking someone back shows like a weakness, or that they emotionally abuse you or verbally abuse you because, I mean, they cheated and then you got back with them. Just like the Cardi thing. I don't know. I laugh at the memes where like, that's why I don't get in my homegirl business. That's me. That's why I don't, because if you take them back, you take them back. I don't see that as abusive to me. I don't know though.
I like I said, I don't see it as abusive, but I do kind of wonder. I mean, maybe she is accepting and more accepting of it because of how she grew up, how she was raised, the people that she's around. It is more likely that the type of people she came up with, not to say they accept cheating, but they look at it like, oh, men cheat because of what they're used to seeing. And so she'd rather deal with the man that she's in love with, who she's married to, who she has a child with, cheating on her than starting over. And in her mind, possibly being cheated on by another guy who she had to start a whole new relationship with. So,
Yeah.
And then, speaking of celebrities who are caught up in some of this stuff, Tory Lanez was on his IG Live about 30, 45 minutes ago, trying to explain how he should not be blamed for what happened to Megan, and how if she was really shot, why is she able to twerk? Just a whole bunch of stuff that, in my opinion, comes off as gaslighting. Because although some of the things he said, are valid points, it doesn't mean that she wasn't shot, right? And he never did he say, I clearly did not shoot her. It was more so, well, if she was shot, why would she be doing this? And if she was shot, why did she do that? And why didn't she say this? So it just came off as more beating around the bush. And it's really tough because, on the one hand, we want to believe all women. And on the other hand, there have been situations where women have lied.
Multiple times.
So I am on the side of, and then, the other thing that you see, especially right now, is men saying, well, if Megan lied, what are y'all going to do for, all those who rode so hard for her? If she lied, okay, then she's canceled too. You know what I mean? There's nothing to say about that. If she lied, then she's canceled. But I don't see why she would need to lie about something like that.
Right.
So.
I don't know, sis. I wish he would stop talking about it, honestly. I don't know. I wish he would let that one go. I feel like whatever's going to happen to you is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
It's not up for us to decide. One, it should have never came to this.
All right.
And if it was that toxic to the point where y'all even felt like y'all needed to shoot each other, fight, whatever, hopefully you leave. I don't know.
Have you ever been in an abusive relationship, either physically, verbally, mentally?
I don't know if I've ever been in a abusive relationship per se. Like, I was young. I thought it was okay to hit my partner type thing. Like, wait a minute, sis, you had to make the face.
Go ahead.
My high school sweetheart, the one who I would punch the shit out of him often. Like, we arguing, I just tee off, like, just thinking it was like, it's okay, like, it's fine. People fight. Like, I thought that was acceptable. It's acceptable. That's why I have the stance that I have now on, like, women don't just go hit men type shit. Like, that's not okay, because not all men are gonna know not to hit you back. So luckily, the partners that I've had, they've never hit me back. You know what I'm saying? Like, they would just move me to the side. All right, chill out. Like, you're doing too much. But every woman doesn't have that. So that's why I take the stance of, like, you shouldn't put your hands on your partner. There has to be a better way. Like, you have to learn how to communicate. There has to be a better way.
Did you reach out to these men once you had your come to Jesus and apologize for putting your hands on them? Okay, so we're gonna do that next episode. I don't know, ma'am, but I agree with you on this, and especially now. I mean, even before, no one should be putting their hands on anyone. But the way that people are raised now, men do not look at women as these fragile creatures that need to be protected anymore. Mm-mm. So the idea that, oh, I'm going to smack you or punch you in the arm or whatever, and you're not going to knock me upside my head because I'm a woman, that's out the window.
Right.
Those days are over. A man will square up and knock your block off. And not think twice about it. And you shouldn't have put your hands on him. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying that either is okay. I'm just saying, women, keep your hands to yourself.
Yes.
If it gets to that point, you need to break up with him and walk away. Because no situation do you know, and can you say what somebody's going to do or how somebody's going to react?
Definitely. So. But outside of that, I feel like I've been in, like, verbally abusive relationships where, like, both of us are verbally abusive. Like, on some, I have some toxic traits, or have had them, where I will say some shit like, I made you type shit, or nobody's gonna fuck with you the way I fuck with you. Like, can't let it go, nitpick, gotta keep pointing that out. And as much as we like to say, oh, like, no, that doesn't affect me, it does, though. Mm-hmm. In the long run, because you're always thinking, like, okay, next relationship, maybe that person has the same tongue tied tonight, have the same motives, like, like you're so used to hearing that, like, I made you, or nobody's gonna love you the same way that I love you. Like, they don't even fuck, like, they really just want to fuck. Like, they don't really want you at all. Like, just saying stuff like that carries with every relationship, because now you're starting to look like, maybe that's true. Like, maybe they do because they just want to fuck. Like, they don't really like me. Like, what?
Right. Well, so, I've been very vocal about my domestic violence situation. I was, in a situation with my high school sweetheart who there were always signs there at the very beginning, from him not wanting me to hang out with my friends. I had to hang any free time I had, it needed to be with him. He would get jealous if, I had to stay late at work, or I caught a ride home with someone that he wasn't familiar with. And I just thought, because I was a teenager and I wasn't as close to my dad as I should have been, that he was just being overprotective, and that it was because he loved me. I didn't realize it was because he was trying to isolate me, so that I didn't have people to turn to, and so that I didn't have friends. And then when we moved out together and we lived together, he found ways to isolate me from my friends. I was embarrassed to take him places because it always ended up into a big argument. And I'm passive by nature. I don't like a lot of friction. I don't like arguing. I don't like a lot of chaos. So far be it from me to be the one to show up to an event and have my man be the person who's arguing and cutting up and getting drunk and having to get carried out. It is humiliating. So I stopped going places because of that. And eventually it turned physical. I remember numerous times where I called one of my best friends and told her what was going on. And one day she hurt my feelings and she was like, listen, I love you, but I don't want you to call me anymore about this, because every time I see your name pop up on my phone, I think it's because he, did something to you and you're dead, or you did something to him and you're in jail. And I can't live like that. I keep telling you to leave. I keep giving you advice and you don't want to take it. So until you get tired, don't call me. And it hurt my feelings, but I needed that because it pushed me. And we had one final altercation where I was in the kitchen and I had taken some frozen chicken out of the freezer, and I was trying to thaw it out. And I said something smart to him, and I moved away from the sink, and he picked up the frozen chicken and made a motion as if he was going to hit me in the head with it. And in my mind, I was like, everything just flashed. My future just flashed before my eyes. Like, if I have children with him, is he going to beat the kids? If do I want to stay with this man for the rest of my life and live like this, or do I just want my freedom? And I walked out of that door and I never went back. And so I'm very adamant about talking about it, because young girls don't really understand the signs. They think, oh, he likes to play fight. He's just jealous. No,
he's so overprotective. I love it. My man love me.
And these are things that they're not telling their parents. Their parents have no idea of what's going on outside of the house a lot of times. So these are things that especially young women need to know.
Agree.
And then I definitely wanted to touch on the LGBT community, because when we talk about domestic violence, we do talk about women primarily. And I think, and then we touch on men because, we talk about, and we're going to get to that too. We talk about the misconceptions where we assume that men can't be victims, and we're definitely going to dive into that. But I wanted to make sure that we highlight the LGBT community, because a lot of times domestic violence happens between same-sex partners, and it's not looked at as domestic violence because the idea is, oh, we're both girls, or we're both men, and so it's just a fight, it's just a tiff. But no, if you are in a relationship and your partner is putting their hands on you, that is domestic violence, and you need to get the hell up out of there.
Or talking to you crazy, just
yeah. It's and in all honesty, it starts with the small things. It starts with, what they say to you, them belittling you, trying to control your friends, talking about what you wear. You have to pay attention to those little things, because it never is just, oh, one day I woke up and he went upside my head and there were no signs. There's always signs. We just ignore them. So
agree.
Yeah.
Agree. I don't know. So where do you want to take the conversation? Because I mean, we could go a lot of different ways with this. The thing about domestic violence is that there's no, like, you can't just pinpoint it. Like, we can talk about it as a whole, talk about just one segment of it, but there's so many different facets of what domestic violence is. And we do always just talk about the physical, but I think it's so much more than that. And there's like never a telltale sign that you're being abused, because I think everybody, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm going on like a different place, but I think everybody processes it different. So like if I said something to you and like, so we're dating and I'm like, she don't fuck with you like that, you should not be around her, you know, I just would rather you just be with me. And then you're like, well, I'm gonna go out with her, and it's like, no, you need to stay in the house, like them people don't fuck with you. That could actually be abuse, you know. But then to you it could just be like, oh, she just doesn't want me to, you know, she just wants to be around me a lot, she just really likes my, you know, presence. But it's like, no, it's not okay, you know, like that could be abusive. But to other people it could just be like, no, that's not an abuse, that's not a sign of abuse.
Well, so everyone focuses on the physical. If you don't have bruises, if they didn't hit you, then it's not abuse. Nobody really talks about the mental abuse and the gaslighting and the name calling and the ways that people try to belittle you. And the reason that they do it is so that they can have some type of dominance over you and make you feel small. And then in some instances, let's talk about financial abuse, right? So
Okay.
if it's a relationship and the person you're with is the breadwinner and they control all the finances in the house, you can't do anything without asking them for permission. That's also a form of abuse, right?
Yep.
So, it's their way of ensuring that you have no one outside of them and, you have to rely on them for everything. And it's down to, your self-confidence.
Yeah, you know, so it's funny that you just said finances and you think of it that way, because my other thing, like, that is actually a form of abuse that people don't think about is, say you have a 5-year plan. And in part of that 5-year plan, you want to be married or you want to be engaged. And your partner knows that, but they don't necessarily make a move on it because they're not ready. That's a form of abuse. You know my feelings. So you're holding on to the fact that I love you and that you don't think I would leave you, but you're never going to give me what I want. That's a form of emotional abuse. Like, you're making me, feel a certain way, or you're making me have to change my plans because you're not technically ready, but you won't let me go. You won't say, I can't give that to you in the time frame that you want, or I'm not able to give that to you in the time frame that you want, so that I can go on and pursue something else. But instead of telling me that, you're like, I understand, I agree.
That goes along with gaslighting and manipulation. I'm going to hold on to you and, lead you to believe what I need you to believe until I can get what I want. And I know in my heart that I'm not giving you what you want. But I'm going to make you feel crazy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that goes along with gaslighting and manipulation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I also, so people who are in physically, mentally, and verbally abusive relationships, or who have been, or who were raised in abusive households, tend to date, repeat that in dating. So maybe you don't date someone who's physically abusive the next time, but then you get with somebody who's verbally or mentally abusive. And although you would think that you wouldn't do that because you could see the signs now, there's something inherent that draws you to people like that. And I'm not so sure what it is or what the psychology is behind that. But if you've dated someone once that was abusive, it is very likely that you'll date someone again that's abusive. So I do want to talk about men really quick and why we don't believe men, or why it's trivialized when men come forward and talk about how they were abused. And one of those examples, just a few months ago, it was earlier this month, Earl Thomas, his wife, Nina Thomas, pulled a gun on him. Allegedly he was cheating on her and she caught him in bed with multiple women, and she chased him with with a loaded weapon, and she was arrested. Now, a lot of people laughed about it and, made light of it and was like, see, that's what he gets, and I bet he won't do that again. And although, people find the humor in everything, if the roles were reversed and she was found in bed with another man and he chased them all around with a gun, yeah, maybe, people would call her names, but at the end of the day, they would, be telling him, oh, you shouldn't risk your life like that. He's crazy, so on and so forth. But in this instance, he wasn't looked at as a victim. It was just laughed off. Why do you think that is?
I think the unfair like ranks. I don't know a better word for it right now. I shouldn't have drunk before this episode, but I guess the unfair standards that we hold men to. You have to be the man. You should have multiple women. You should have women fighting over you. You should be. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. You're strong, you're manly. There's no such thing as depression in men. There's no such thing as men getting abused. They do the abusing. They can go up against anything. So I think that's what it is. But a lot of men are abused. Women abuse men all the time. I know I have not physically abused, but verbally abused men before. I just cuss you out.
And the numbers are actually not that far off. It's 1 in 3 women who have admitted to being in an abusive relationship, and it's 1 in 4 men who have admitted to being in a relationship. So we don't talk about that very often, but the stats are very, very close.
Yeah.
So there's the stigma that you're weak if you let a woman abuse you. Why didn't you shake her up? Other men who've not been in that situation swear what they would have done and all of that. But, coming from someone who had women in my family who were matriarchs, who wouldn't think twice about going upside a dude's head with a frying pan. Or I've heard them brag about stories of, someone in the family stabbing her husband with a steak fork and laughing about it and making light of it. I've heard all of those stories. And as a kid, I'm like, oh, well, these were tough women. But as an adult, I'm like, no, that's abuse.
Yeah, that's abuse. You can't do that to the men.
No.
But a lot of women in the olden days, and I know this does not make it right, they were victim of abuse. And that was like their survival tactic. Like, I'm gonna go toe to toe with my husband because we're not gonna leave each other. I remember somebody in my family was like, my husband taught me how to fight.
Oh no.
Yeah. Getting your ass beat taught you how to fight.
Girl. So when do we leave?
I'm leaving before it even gets started. Listen. It ain't gonna be too much of the whole talking crazy because I'm gonna talk crazy back. I'm not finna let nobody make me feel less than, and I'm definitely leaving before it gets physical. And I say I'm leaving before it gets physical because I've heard the stories of what my father, who passed away, did to women. So I'm never finna let that be me.
Yeah.
And I know, because I know your story of how you overcame domestic violence. I can't put myself in that position knowing people that have been in that position.
Right.
It's not okay to me. Also, I have 2 girls. I never want them in the house and they wondering, is mommy okay? Like, that's not okay. So I'm leaving off job. I'm leaving off break. First night I'm out.
And that's where I'm at with it too. You've raised your voice at me crazy. It's done. Like, that's just how I feel. I'm at a place in my life where, and I've told this story before too. A family member was cussing out her husband, or so she thought, on a voicemail, and realized after her coworker called back that she wasn't talking to her husband. She wasn't cussing her husband out. She was cussing out her coworker. And she apologized profusely to the coworker. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I didn't mean to call you. And she felt so bad and so embarrassed. And I was like, you felt terrible about how you talk to this coworker, but you intended for that to be how you talk to your husband. Imagine that.
Right.
The person you go to sleep with, wake up to, say that you love, you meant it to them, but the coworker who isn't even in your chain of command to get you in trouble or anything like that, you're humiliated that that's what they saw of you. That's interesting. So for me, you raise your voice at me wrong, I don't even get to the call me out of my name. You won't even get a chance to call me out of my name. I'm way past that point in my life. Not even, you can't even talk around it. Oh, you're acting like a what? It's over.
Right.
I'm done.
And that's where I am at 29. Before, I will say in my early 20s, it's a lot of growth. There's a lot of learning in your early 20s, like what you accept, what you don't accept, what you can handle, what you can't handle. That's why I say everybody processes abuse different, and what may be abusive to one person may not seem abusive to the next. But yeah, where I'm at now, you can't even talk to me crazy. I ain't got to put up with it. And it's crazy that I even got here because, like, one of my exes, I'm so used to rescuing them and I'm so used to them just saying whatever and me pushing the other way. Now I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do none of that. Yeah. Don't care about it. It's not for me. I don't want, no, actually, I don't want to do that because I don't have to.
I will say I used to have a real reckless mouth. I used to say some really disgusting, nasty things verbally. I like belittle. I absolutely did it. And now that I'm older and I think about some of the ugly things I said in my marriage, to this day, I still can't apologize enough. I'm embarrassed of some of the things that I said. It was so disgusting. I can't even believe that I'm the same woman who said those things.
Right.
So if it gets to that point where you are disrespecting one another, y'all might need to take a break. Call it off for a little while, you know? Call it off for a little while. So
I feel like our energy tonight, sis, is not the same as normal, but I feel like it's a very serious topic that you have to give the straight stats. Like, there's no sugarcoating, like no laughing matter. Like, this is not a laughing matter. Like, abuse, violence is not okay. There are so many people that get killed from this. There's so many people that end up taking their own lives, battling depression. There's children that grow up in abusive, toxic environments just because they get the second hand. Like, they're not physically abused or they're not mentally abused, but they see what it is doing to the person that they love and they call their protector, and in turn that's abusive to them.
It's traumatizing.
It's very traumatizing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny. So Rain's dad and I he was here one day. We were joking. We were giving the girls bath and we were playing around, and he like puts me in the bathtub when there's water in the tub. So I'm like, oh my God, my back hurts. And Avery starts crying. She thought I was seriously hurt. So I had to like laugh and be like, brother, put me in the water. Like, I'm like, but imagine if that was really like us fighting. Like, her face, like she was traumatized. And like now she jokes about it. It was like, remember when he slammed you in the tub? And I'm like, girl, that is not funny. My back hurts. But what if, like, think about your children. They are that concerned about you. A 3-year-old is that concerned about her mother.
Right.
Imagine if you're getting abused every day and they're watching that, what that does to them.
And a lot of times that's how, you know, children who have seen abuse or been abused as, you know, as in their youth, that's how they see love. That's how they see relationships. And so the reason why I normalized the way that my exes talked to me and how they treated me was that, well, that's what I saw in the household. That's how my grandmother talked to her men. That's how my, you know, parents talked to each other. That was normal. That's how my family, you know, shared relationships. They cussed each other out. They talked crap about each other. And that was normal. So to me, oh, that's a relationship. So children will normalize those things. And you don't want that. You don't want that
at all.
And set them boundaries.
So what should someone do if they feel like they're being abused or are a victim of domestic violence, physical, mentally, emotional, any of that?
You have to find someone that you trust. And, you know, it's tough because by the time you realize it, that person probably has a strict hold on your life, whether it be your phone, your emails, like you're gonna have, I don't know, sometimes they limit your, and now, with the pandemic, a lot of people are teleworking and they're in the homes with their spouses, and no joking, the statistics for domestic violence have gone up, and the number of calls for police officers to respond to domestic violence incidences have gone up. So sometimes it may be difficult to be able to talk to someone that you trust, but you're going to have to find someone that you trust to have those conversations with. And see if they can help you. You have to have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find ways to put, if you don't have family that you can immediately get out of the relationship, because everyone loves to say leave, just leave.
Where you going?
A lot of times, listen, they've already isolated you from your family, and if you have Black parents, that are very typical, who, if you turn your back on them and you reach out to them, they might, respond in a negative way. There are a lot of parents that are like that. So it's not always easy. And then God forbid, if you have children, and you have no money, where are you going? With whose car, with whose keys, with whose money, to whose house, right? So you're going to have to find a way to save up some money. If you can't just escape and go to a girlfriend, I was able to stay with my best friend. She lived 4 or 5 hours away. So when I moved out, I was able to stay with her for a few months. And, she really helped me in that time. But a lot of times you're isolated from your friends. So, you're going to, some women have to find DV shelters, which are very helpful because, they keep your information pretty anonymous. They're very, understanding to situations, especially with children. But then, who wants to go to a shelter? Who wants to take their children to a shelter? But if it comes down to life and death, you've got to do what you have to do and make sure that your children are safe. So.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, whatever you got to do, just try to do it. Pride, sometimes you just got to put that pride to the side and ask for help, especially when you're in situations like that. Before we wrap up, we love to tie in the celebrity gossip with this. How are you feeling about Emily B?
Now, we talked earlier about people who are in domestic violent relationships and being mentally and emotionally abused. She's one of them. Now, Cardi maybe not, but Emily, you knocked my teeth out, and no. I don't care what the situation is, because people are like, well, she cheated on him, and all these years that he done cheated on her, I don't care what she did and who she cheated with. If she ain't knocked his teeth out, no.
Knocked his teeth out, did what they did to the daddy.
Yeah, jacked up
the baby down.
No, I think that's real stupid. I'm sorry. That's crazy. I can't, and everybody's celebrating them and, sharing the picture of them at the baby shower and all of that. Wonderful gowns, beautiful gowns.
Wonderful.
Beautiful gowns. That's all I can say. I am not in support of that situation. And again, she has an adult daughter now. I think Taina is an adult, but
yeah, she's an adult.
That teaches her what to accept in a relationship. My mom got her teeth knocked out by her man and she stood by him. Nah. No, absolutely not. You knocked my teeth out?
I'm just gonna get some more from the dentist. Money.
He was jealous. He was jealous because she had a perfect smile and he didn't, had to knock her teeth out. It's terrible.
And on that note, sis, it is time for the most important part of the show.
Absolutely.
The part that people have really been asking us about
is our unpopular opinions.
Yes.
Okay. My unpopular opinion this week, it's related to the election. I don't think that having a conversation with the Republican Party makes you a sellout or a traitor. And yes, of course, this is in reference to Ice Cube. When, Kanye did it, who else? Cardi B did it. It was a number of people that have had conversations with the Republican Party. And as a matter of fact, I think, some of the success that Kim has had with having people released from prison has come from her having conversations with Donald Trump and, people on the other side of the fence. I think conversations are important to have. I don't think that it means that you're a sellout or a traitor. It just means you're putting, what you think is best for your community on both, in front of both parties, and seeing who is going to help and who's going to stand by their word. So, yeah, I'm not going to call Ice Cube a traitor. I don't know what his intentions were or what he thought he was going to get out of it, but having the conversation is important. So that's my unpopular opinion this week.
Okay, so my unpopular opinion this week, I say it often, I'm going to say it again. Celebrities are just like us, guys. So as much as we love celebrity news, as much as we love to gossip about it, because we're going to continue to gossip on our show about it, they are just like us. And a lot of the times we're trying to hold them to higher standards. We're trying to tell them what they can and can't do. Those people are 20-somethings. Those people are 30-somethings. They're getting married young. They're having kids out of wedlock. They're, trying to figure out what's going on in their career. And we're giving them no grace. Give the celebrities the same grace that you want people to give you. And don't get so caught up into their business. Comment on it and move along. We got to do with everybody else.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, y'all, if you love us like we know you do, make sure that you are subscribed to us on our Facebook page, our YouTube. We're on Instagram, Twitter, all the social media platforms. That's ONMUVAS podcast. Make sure you leave a comment and engage with us there. You can also find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever your favorite streaming platform is. And if we're not there, let us know and we will be there. Ari, how can the people get in touch with you?
You can follow me on social media at ARILAWAN _. That's Ari Lawan _.
And I am Chatty Patty DC on all social media. We record live every Tuesday on our Facebook page. So if you want to get in on the discussion, make sure that you're tuned in. Make sure you set a reminder. We go live at 9:45 p.m. But if you cannot join us live at 9:45 p.m. on Tuesdays, that's okay, because our podcast drops every Wednesday because...
Girl, Wednesdays belong to the Muvas. Tuesdays kind of belong to us too. If you haven't subscribed, you need to subscribe. If you haven't watched the live, you need to watch the live. If you haven't tuned in on a Wednesday, you definitely got to tune in on a Wednesday. I mean, it's on Muvas.
Period.
That's it. That's all. That's all I got for the people.
Bye, y'all.